Hello and welcome to another episode of KenTraining. Today's training, what we're going to do is we're going to build an acoustic wall. We're using a system called FabricMate, and this is some literature. I bought their kit, so they do have a website, FabricMate.com, and this is some of the tools that I got with the starter kit. I did purchase a starter kit. Now the purpose of this video here is to give you, the YouTube audience, the information and training and expertise to try to build one of these on your own. This is a brand new product for me. I just started working with it for the first time, so before I brought my work into the office, I'm doing test sample pieces down here to get my technique down, to make sure that I have my process correctly established before moving up. Now they do have some videos. One thing that kills me about the videos is that on their videos they don't have audio. A person like me just talking about the product and how to install it and everything like that. So if you are getting ready to install one of these, hopefully this video will be helpful to you. The wall that I ultimately want to build is not that complex, but because it's new to me, I'm still going through a learning curve nonetheless. Now, a couple of things. Because I'm not a professional installer of this product, one of the tools that they want you to use is a crown staple gun. Now, I can go and purchase a crown staple gun. The issue is that for me to use that in the office space where I'm planning on doing the work, I'd have to bring in my portable air compressor plus the crown staple gun, which is, I don't know, $150, $100, whatever. They make a lot of noise, so I'm trying to see if I can produce what I want to produce, but using screws and nails and things like this instead of a crown staple gun in order to do the attachments. So I'm kind of playing around with my process of attaching it to the wall and stuff like that to figure out exactly how I can do it. Now, this is my first test sample that I built, and I'll show you that right now, and I'll show you the mistakes that I made, and I'm going to build another one, and I'll walk you through every step that I'm going to take I'll show you the mistakes that I made on the first one and how I plan on correcting those mistakes on the second one. So here we go. Here's the first test sample that I made. Now, what I did is I cut this hole out here because I'm planning on putting an electrical outlet in that section. So because of that, I need, I wanted to do that. Plus, my wall sample is going to have a seam in it like that. So that is why I put a seam. To do it and to just build a regular square, just a square, it's very, very, very simple. The part that makes this difficult is the edges. That's called the perimeter. If you just do 45s in your edges and everything else straight, and you just make a box and put your fabric on, this process is easy. But when you start introducing seams like this one here, or you're trying to put in an electrical outlet, let me show you a little detail on that. Now, one of the things that I messed up with here is I used the wrong piece of track. You can see that my frame product here that I used was this, what they call low level. Now I'm going to show you a couple of different frames and how I can do on the next test sample piece, how that is going to look better. This is the low level here on the perimeter, which is fine. You can do that, and then when you do the seam piece, you have to use a different track. But I didn't do the corner properly, and I'll show you how I messed up there. See how you can see that right there? That doesn't look terrible, but I can make that look better, and I'll show you how in the next piece. Overall though, one other thing that I did with this sample piece is that I used black drywall screws to attach what they call Recore. And you can see, because my fabric is white, you can see the black screw heads protruding through the product. So just looking at it, I can see a screw head here, 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 here. Let me go ahead and pull this back. Let me get a needle nose pliers so I can pull that out. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start here in the corner. I have extra fabric. Even if I destroy this fabric, it's not going to be the end of the world. But let me just show you how I did this. So you can see a screw head there, and when you have your fabric over this, you can see it. So although it holds this Recore in fine, you cannot have the black drywall screws. I have to use different screws, which is fine. I'll use some different screws. All right. So here, this is just like it's a wallpaper that is for the covering. And this product here is the Recore material. Let me unscrew that and show you what that looks like. See, I just have it in with 2 drywall screws. And you see, this is just like insulation. Just comes out and just fits in this frame. So first you build your frame, then you put your Recore in. In my case, it's 1 inch thick. Then once you do that and you have that screwed in, then you go ahead and put your fabric in around the frame. Now, let me just take this off to the side for now, and let me rip out this piece here. Now let me show you where I messed up on. Right here on this edge here, you cannot have the way that I built this corner, this line here. This is an incorrect procedure. What I should have done, a 45 here, and a straight line coming up here. That's how I should have done this. When we do the next one, I'll show you that as a comparison. This is the way you're not supposed to build it, and that's why when I tried to do that seam there, it looked as bad as it did. So I do plan on correcting that. And then also on this portion here, see, you can clearly see the low-level framing material. Let me show you the material that I should have used there for the frame. This is my workbench that I've been working off of, and I've got some tools here that we're going to have to use for this process. These are 2 very common tools. This is the cutting tool here in order to cut your frame with right there. So you got different tools. Alright, this is the frame here, which is the low-level frame. That's the one that you can see where it fits in, and it fits in low for the perimeter only. This one here is the other type of frame, but it's not a low-level frame, it's just a flush mounted frame. This is the type frame material that I should have used going around the electrical outlet. This is the one that you need to use for that. I have 2 more pieces of, I think it's 5 feet long frame. I'm going to build the perimeter out of this frame right here rather than using the low-level frame on the next piece. So I think I'm pretty much just going to do everything with this frame here. flush mounted frame rather than this low frame. Part of what they gave is this instruction guide, and here on page 13 of the instruction guide is where you're taking like a straight line here and then bringing in a seam here. Now you'll notice the way that it's done is in the top section here they do a 45-degree angle. Oops, hold on. What you can see there is a 45-degree angle. Then you come in here at a straight cut down at the bottom. That is profoundly different than what I did. See, what I did is I went straight. I just took this line here and just went straight all the way down with one piece. That was incorrect of me. What I should have done is I should have put that as a 45-degree there to there. But then there's another problem. Then what you have is you've got flush mounted with low level mount on this side, and I don't think that I can, those two aren't going to line up. So that's why in the next one I'm going to do it all with flush mount, no low level. And I think that I'll have dramatically different results. Plus, I'm also following the instructions on the instruction manual where that is exactly how they want me to do it, as you can see right there. That's what we're going to be building on the next one. Also for the next one, we're not going to be using the low-level product there. We're going to use the flush mount product right there. Here's the instruction manual. This is the frame that we're going to be using pretty much for all the product that we're going to do with the one that we're going to build right now. So they just call it square front load light fabric for 1 inch, because my Recore is 1 inch. This here is the one that I used on the first one, but we're not going to use it on the second one, and they call it square low leg, full line 1 inch. And you can see where the fabric goes in, how it's lower than the top surface. Here, where the fabric goes in, it's flush with the top surface. Now, inside this box here, this is what they call the Recore Material, so I bought a whole box of that stuff. And for fabric, I have fabric right here, and so I have plenty of fabric that we should be able to build our next piece on. So we have everything that we want, and let me show you what we're going to do. All right, what I've done is I've taken a piece of 1/2-inch drywall. I'm just laying it against a pallet, just against a wall, and it's just supported by 4 screws on the top, 2 screws in the top, 2 on the bottom, just to hold it in place and pretend it just like it's a drywall wall. And I just have it right next to our first test sample piece right there. I want to build something similar to this frame where we basically have a top section, a bottom section, and an outlet. And I want to build that here on this wall. This wall is a little bit thinner. It's not quite as long as this wall, but that's okay. I do want to utilize this piece that I removed from the first piece, and I do want to utilize that over here. So I do want to put this right here. So my first piece that I want to put in is I want to put in the top track right here with the 45-degree and the 45-degree from here to here. So I'm going to get my tape measure, measure this out, and get going. Let's see if I can do 25 inches on this piece. And yeah, I've got over 30 inches here. So this is going to go on the perimeter, so I know that I need to have a 45-degree going like that. So on this one here, I want to take this cutting tool, put it in the bottom track there, put it along the edge, hold that in firmly while I make that cut. It's a little hard to cut, so what I do is I'll show you what I do. And sometimes it walks on me a little bit, So I found it helpful to take a pair of vice grips and just crimp this corner right here, and that holds the material in place. And then I take the bottom edge, put it against the wood, and I just so that the blade doesn't walk on me, I hold that in, and then strike it that way. And then there's my 45-degree edge right there. When I want to go and measure the 25 inches now, I take my pencil and go ahead and do that. 25 inches. Takes me to right here. Alright, I want to try to give you a close-up of this. There's my pencil mark. Take this tool, the cutting tool, and when I try to line this up, you can see the bottom half has a section in the bottom here, and this is what I'm trying to line up when I do this. So I'm going to try to do this in camera so that you can see it and I can see what I'm doing too. And I think right there is going to be good. I'm just going to go ahead and clamp that in right there. And nope, it looks like it's going to be a little bit long. I'll just bring that back. Make sure I'm in good. Hang on. Okay, right there should be perfect. Okay, now let's just double check to see how well I am on my 25 inches. And I'm good. I'm at 25 inches right there. You can see that. Alright, now I want you to notice that even though I was using this tool and I was trying to hold my material down with a pair of vice grips, I got a speed square here. This is the piece that I just cut with the 245 degrees, and then this is just a piece of scrap that I just cut. Now you'll notice that there's a gap there, and the gap is on my piece, not on the scrap piece there. And that is because when I cut it, the material walked a little bit on me when I did it. Now in the field, this is going to be hidden, but if you were going to have a noticeable seam, doing it with this tool is a little tough. If I had a chop saw, I think I could get cleaner cuts with the chop saw than with this tool here. But I'm going to be cutting in an office building, so I'm going to just try to get my technique down. But it's it's one thing to watch it done or to read it in the instruction manual over there, and it's another thing to actually do it and have your cuts just perfect. So anyways, I just wanted to show you that. Here's the piece here that we just cut, and I want to attach this piece right here to the drywall. Now I'm not going to use a staple gun because I don't have one, so I'm going to do the same technique I did here. I'm going to drill some holes. This doesn't have any holes in it, so I'm just going to drill some holes and then just throw some drywall screws in. Not drywall screws. At first I was using drywall screws, but those have a tapered head. Then I got these pan head screws. I'm going to use those so that way the material doesn't walk on me at all, and in case I don't get the center of the hole with the drywall screws. And also these here are the silver head. I'm going to, when I do those, actually I'm going to try different things here in the field. I'll show you that when I get to it. But for right now, I'm just going to drill some holes into this and install it right there at the top. Okay, these here are the screws that I'm going to use, which are just basically just truss head screws, the lath screws with the Phillips 1-inch, basically number 8 with the pan head. Those are the ones right there. Put those in right now. Use this piece of Recore. So what I want to do is I want to cut this next dimension with a 45-degree here in order to accept this piece of Recore. So let me get that. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to put a piece in here. I already cut a 45-degree angle on this piece here so I could measure it up. But this corner on this seam piece needs a little bit more special attention. I need to square off this edge here. So let me do that for you in front of the camera so you can see it. So I'm basically just going to take my tool and just cut off a small amount here, right there, and I just flatten that out so you could clearly see how I did that. Okay, another thing that they want you to do with this piece here, because this is going into a seam, is they want you to notch out this section right here. So the fabric is going to go in here. So what they want is they want you to cut a relief cut. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do, and you're not going to see this because this is on the inside seam piece, but I want to show you how I'm going to do it here. I'm trying to show you everything in the camera. I'm going to cut there. Now I'm going to cut over here. Hang on. Like this. Here. Right about like this. Okay, now there's your notch there. So this side of the cut is good to go. Now let's measure it out so we can cut out the other side. Alright, this piece is going to go here like this, and this piece is going to go here like this. So with this in place, I'm just going to mark with my pencil exactly this outside edge. Then, now we know that this piece has to go like that. So I'm just going to By the way, you can only cut this material this way. Because of this lip here, you can't take the tool and put it in this way. This doesn't come back far enough. So you can only cut it with the flat side going towards the larger side. And let me just get this straight. Okay, right about there. Okay, test that fit out. And that's going to be real good. That's going to fit perfectly. Now that I got that, I'm going to square off the other end. I'm going to create that relief cut that I showed you earlier with the V there. And there. And then make sure everything's going to line up just right. And I should be fine and good to go with this, and then I can screw this in, and that should be, this portion of the frame should be good. Okay, here's the final seam piece that I'm going to put in. It has the notch piece here. I've got it squared off like I showed you here, and same thing on the other side. It has a notch piece here, and it's squared off right there on the end. But again, this is going to be inside here, so you're not going to see it. This is going to go in here like this. This is all going to be hidden. You're not going to see that notch because I'm going to have another piece coming down that you're not going to have to worry about. Okay, now we want to put our piece of Recore in that we took out of the first piece. So we want to use it, reuse it here in the second piece. So I'm just going to take it, get a mark here, get a mark here. We should be good to go. Line up these two marks and let's cut it and put it in. I got the piece in, and I'm going to just use these finish nails, 2-inch finish nails, in order to put it in. You know, a little bit of this I'm just experimenting with to try different products. We know that you can see the black screw heads, so I'm just going to, like I said, I'm just experimenting here just to try this out, see how well this works. So let me just put it in like this. And hopefully you're not going to be able to see these heads here when this gets done. Let's put a couple of these in. There. That head got completely buried. There, that one too. So you're not going to see those heads at all. Once we get into that, they just went completely inside there, so they'll be completely buried. I had a little bit of free time and I did not have my camera with me, so I put in this piece here, the bottom piece, this section right here, and this piece coming up right there. You already saw the top section. The important thing is how I did the joint. So you'll notice that when I came down here to here, it's a 45-degree cut. You already know that on this piece right here, that's where I trimmed that one section right there, and also put the relief cut inside of here. See if you can't see it. It's completely buried from here, and you can kind of see it if I go in from here. Inside there is that relief cut. That's basically how that is. And then this one here is just a flush cut that way. And 45 degree on the corners there and there. And then same thing on the opposite side, just a flush cut right there, which basically it's a flush cut on this one. This one is a flush cut right there. Let me give you a zoom in on that. And then the one here is just left at the 45 degree angle to try to almost make it seamless when you come over here on the side. When you do this one here, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to have an outlet that's going to go here like this, and I want to make sure that basically the fabric goes right underneath it. So the fabric is going to get tucked right inside of here. It's going to pretty much land right on the edge of that box of the box here is how that's going to land for the cover plate. And then the cutout box will go inside here. What else? Oh, on these cuts here, when I did this, what I did was I made the measurement. I added 1/8 of an inch, and then I cut off at a 45 degree with the utility knife, making this cut right here on all these are all basically just cut 45 degrees, and I just basically did it with the utility knife, and that's how I made those. The next step that I'm at is I'm ready to put in the Recore material right here. Now this particular piece of Recore, I could reuse it, that I took out of there, and I had to also remove the piece that I had here because I was running out of frame material. So I did run out of frame material, so that's why I did that. Now this piece of Recore, because this template is a little bit different, you'll see it doesn't line up, so I'm just going to have to cut a new one. So let me see what size I've got here and figure out what I need to do. The piece of Recore fits perfectly this way. This is a piece right out of the box. This fits perfectly this way. But if I try to put it in like this, you'll see that it's about 1 inch too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in and then bring it up to where it needs to be, make a mark, and we're going to go and cut that across. This is the piece that I want. Then we'll also, this is how I'm going to do this. Using the same technique, I'm basically going to cut this out here, here, and then bringing this down like this. Here, and then here. Now the only thing is that we've got notches here, and that distance there is whatever thickness is of this, which is, oh, let me see what that is exactly. 3/8 of an inch. Alright, now that I've got the fabric in pretty much all the way around the four corners, if this was a final piece, this is a little dirty up there where I would be unhappy with, but I'm just doing this as a test piece so I can get familiar with this product and putting it into the frame. Now that I've got it in like that, I'm going to trim it off with the fabric cutters. Alright, here's a detail shot of what it looks like after I've trimmed off the fabric around the perimeter, just leaving a small reveal. Now I'm going to take the roller tool and roll in that excess. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to give you a close-up here to try to show you what that looks like when you roll it in. Alright, so here's a detail shot of what it looks like. Right here, this section, you can see just a small amount of, I don't know, excess material, we'll call it. So it actually just about tucks, it actually just tucks in with my finger. If there was a wall there, of course, you'd never see it. You have to determine how accessible that is to know what that's going to look like. Same thing here. I've got a small amount of excess material. Let me take my utility knife and try to cut that. I could also try to use the fabric cutters, and I could also try to just tuck it in. So there's a few different options here. Cut it, tuck it in, do a little bit of everything just to clean that corner up. Look at that. That corner cleaned right up. Alright, so moving around to the other side, I actually have just like one hair sticking out there. Let me try to do the same thing. Just try to grab that with the utility knife and just tuck that in there. There we go. Okay, good. And then that section is already good. And pretty much that's it. This piece here, you cannot see any of those screw heads to the standard public. No one would catch that. The piece is a little dirty. Is a used piece. I didn't even try to clean my hands. Not that they're that dirty, and I did put it in and then have to take it out once. But I could try to clean that just to see if that would clean off, just to see how durable this is. I am dealing with white. It would be better if the material had a little bit of tint to it, like a grayish material, whatever. But the fabric that I'm working with is white, and I have to be able to work with white. So of course hands have to be clean, environment has to be as clean as possible, everything like that. Alright, so that's the top piece. Now we still have to cut a piece for the bottom. So I got to measure this out, get a piece of fabric, and do the same thing, and then do the more difficult part, which is to put in a piece on that cutout and to get that to work. So hopefully all that's going to go too. To see if I could get this to clean off a little bit, I've got some disinfecting wipes here, some Clorox disinfecting wipes. I'm just going to, so I've got it here with a clean paper towel. Just want to see if that'll come off. Just want to know how clean I can get this. Just kind of experimented with it to see how delicate I need to be with the product once I'm working with it in the field. Might be it. Let me let that go. See if that dries out, if that goes away, or if I made it worse. Like on this frame, before I put the fabric on, I'm going to take this Clorox wipe, I'm going to go around and clean it. So in case there's any dirt or anything, it doesn't bleed through. So let me try that too, to try to keep my work surface as clean as possible. Now I do have pencil lines here. I hope they don't show through as well. So I gotta see if that is going to be an issue. Alright, there we go. Let me cut up the other fabric. Okay, I'm getting ready to put the fabric over this piece here. I measured it out and I need a piece that's 28 by 26, which gives me about 1.5 inches overlap all the way around. So I'm gonna work over here in this section, so I took a moving blanket, put it on the ground to try to keep the fabric as clean as possible. When I purchase the fabric, you buy it by the yard, and it comes inside of a plastic container here, just a plastic wrapping really, and then here is the actual fabric, kind of like wallpaper. So we're going to take this, put it down, and then use some fabric cutters and cut it. Now that we got our fabric and it's plenty big, we're going to go ahead and tuck it in and get this thing going. So what I did is I used the manual tool, not the roller yet. I just used the manual tool here in order to get the fabric depressed pretty firmly into all the grooves all the way around. Now you'll notice I had to redo the top section because there was too much slack there. You can see where I originally pinched it and how much deeper it is in now to make this skin tight. Now, and I did that all the way around, and the corners are pretty decent. So my next step is to use the fabric shears to cut off the excess fabric going all the way around and leave like a 1/4 of an inch, and then roll the rest of it in, and then you'll see me do that in a second. And then I still have to cut out for this outlet, just like over there. Now, because I was just experimenting, I put some masking tape. This is just tan masking tape that you would get at any department store, a hardware store, and I tried to put it covering up the holes like that, and that's what it looks like. And I did it as an experiment to see if it would bleed through, and I can absolutely see the exact spots. Of course I know what I'm looking for, but it can bleed through. So that does not work. I'm just experimenting with different ways of mounting this and making sure the screws are not visible. So that's the purpose of me doing this. Okay, that looks real good. Let me show you the detail on all the corners, and you can see the frame sticking out here. By the way, I should mention, when I'm using the tool, especially when I needed to rip this out, your frame has to be really securely attached to the drywall. Really securely attached, because if you pull out the fabric, you're pulling the frame off the wall if your frame is not 100% attached to the wall. So your frame has to be really attached to the wall. Anyways, you can see going all the way around all of my seams. Everything looks really good. The fabric itself looks fine, except for where I put that Scotch tape. Again, this is just a test piece and I'm just experimenting, so obviously that is a no-no, that I cannot do that. Now, we need to cut out for this outlet, get that fabric around, so that way we can get this outlet done. So we have to cut that up. Alright, so basically what I want to do is I want to cut an X here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the near the edge, go in. Now I'm just going to go up right to the edge. Now I'm going to come down right to the corner over here. Now I'm going to do the same thing in this corner. And this corner too. Alright, now it's a little hard to see, but basically there's the material, there's the frame that I want to put this into. So let me start walking this in. I could actually even trim this out. So let me take the scissors and just trim this out like this, and I'll use this piece as a first piece that I do. So I'm going to go in here. Okay, now that's basically it, and I'm going to do that same technique with the other three sides. So I want to take this, trim this back, take this, trim that back. Okay, and now just keep following the same type pattern. Okay. That's basically how it would go once the outlet is on. It'll look just like that. And that's what it looks like without the outlet. So pretty much that's it. Alright, here's the detail on the section I just did, and I think it came out really good. I'm very, very pleased with these results. Camera's going out of focus, sorry about that, folks. Let me put my hand in the picture to try to give it something to focus on. Anyways, you can see pretty much all the joints, and once the cover plate is on, all that is hidden anyways. The important part is the size of the opening, the fabric, and everything like that. With this on here, like this, pretty much that is it, right, like that. And that is a great finished product going on your wall. This whole thing would have been fine had I not used the the Scotch tape. Okay, one thing that I want to point out is how I made a mistake on my first frame and how I corrected that on the second frame. If you remember, on the first frame I took and put the piece here and then tried to do that lip right there, and that was a wrong technique in order to do a corner like this. I don't think if you're going to do a continuation seam you can have that low level lip right there. At least I don't think you can. I'm not experienced enough to do it that way. I'm pretty happy with the results doing it this way. I'm very happy actually with the results. This finished product looks pretty professional, so I'm very happy with that, and I can live with that as my deal. So I just won't do it with the low level frame. I guess for me to continue growing and learning how to do this, I need to learn how to do with the low level frame, how to put a seam in to a low level frame and then continue on. That I haven't figured out yet. Okay, that's going to conclude this video installing the FabricMate type of a system. Sound acoustical system is what we're trying to use it for. I showed you my technique on how I plan on doing at least my beginning projects. If you're actually an experienced person that knows how to do this, and you know how to do a transition from a seam, a low-level seam, a low-level perimeter going to a seam and then continuing on, I'd love to hear how you do that. Love to hear your comments about the video, if you thought if I did okay or not okay or whatever. Please give me a like. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to my channel, KenTraining. See you later.